Hello, everyone. This is Miguel Greenberg, and today, once again, we are going to talk about React. I did, I believe, 3 videos on React so far. They generated pretty positive feedback. So, what I decided to do is to record a few more videos. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some React core topics. uh, Assuming that most of you will come from a Python backend experience. And if you would like to learn how to write front ends with React, then I'm going to show you uh, a few of the core basic ideas that will allow you to do that. Uh, so in this first video, we are going to talk about rendering, how you render contents using React. Um, so if you want to follow this tutorial yourself, you will need to create a brand new React project, and you have basically 2 options to do that. You can create one locally on your computer using the create React app script, and I showed you how to do that in my first React video, so you can go look at that one if you don't know how that's done. And then another option that you have is to use one of the online editors that are available these days. And an example is this one, codesandbox.io. Uh, with these editors, you can create your React project just by clicking on it on a template, and then you have a brand new React project that you can work on directly in the browser. So for convenience, that is what I'm going to do today, but it will be exactly the same if you would prefer to work on a project locally on your computer. Um, so I assume if most of you come from a Python experience, uh, you would expect that there is an HTML page that is the uh, sort of the way to bootstrap the React application, and you're actually correct. So in the public directory, there is an index HTML file that is automatically generated, so you don't have to worry about it. And this file, this is actually a template. It's not the final HTML file, but React comes with its own scripting that takes this template and then generates the final HTML file during its build process. Um, which is, by the way, during development, it's automatic. You don't have to worry about it. But the important thing in this HTML file is that there is this empty div component. Usually, I believe most templates use root for the ID for this div, and this is where React will insert the application. So the application that we design using React will be inserted dynamically inside this div. Uh, so the main component of your application, it's usually called app.js. So this is where we are going to write the top level logic for our application. So in React, a component is a function. Um, you may also see components written as classes. This is the older way to write components. React has an older way and a newer way. So I'm going to focus on the new way. I'm not going to talk at all about the class-based components. So this is going to be all with functional components. So a component is a function. So you can see here this function is called app. Usually you will see that a component is stored in a file name with the same name. So app.js has a component named app. This is a convention, not necessary that you follow it, but always good idea to do things the way most people do it, because it helps with writing code that is maintainable and clear. So here we have a function app, and we are making it the default symbol that is exported from this file. So every time we write a component, we are going to do the same. But in this video, we're not going to write any more components. We're only going to use this one. We will see in a future video, I'm going to talk about writing additional components. So a component is a function, and the function needs to return what you want to render on the page. It's as simple as that. So you can see that this template that Code Sandbox created for me, it returns a few HTML elements, and that's it. So we have a div, which is the top level div with a class name, and inside we have an h1 and h2, and you can see on the right that is exactly what we get. So I'm going to edit this. So let's say this is going to be part 1 rendering, which is our topic for this video. And you see that automatically this is reloaded in the page. If you use the local version, you get the same thing, by the way. So this will work exactly the same. So let's erase the H2, and there we go. So you may think that this is reminiscing of the old days of writing maybe PHP, which was famous for combining logic and HTML together. And in a way, you are correct. This is effectively mixing the two. But we are going to try to separate the presentation from the logic. We are not going to mix them too much. Another thing that you may be sort of not understanding is how come, if this is a JavaScript file, how come you're writing HTML in the middle of it, and how come it works? And you are correct once again. This is not really JavaScript. There's one aspect of the JavaScript community that is very common in JavaScript. People like to write extensions to the language, and then you write compilers or transpilers that take the extended JavaScript and render regular JavaScript from it. So this is one of those things. This is called JSX, which is an extension that allows you to write HTML components in the middle of JavaScript. So once again, we don't have to worry about it. The scripting that comes with React takes care of converting this to JavaScript and doing the right thing. So we can just write the HTML and it'll just work. Besides the basic rendering of adding HTML and returning it from this function, other things that we can do is we can use templating instructions. So if you're familiar with traditional server-side frameworks that use HTML templates, you can sort of do the same thing here. So let's create a constant here. You can see that while I'm writing, if I make a little pause, then it's going to try to re-render, and very often you're going to see errors. But this will be fixed as soon as I complete this. So let's say we have a username. So here I could add, let's say, an H2, and I could say hello, and here within curly brackets I can insert the variable, and this works. So this is the most basic thing that you can do. Remember that I mentioned that we were going to try to not mix logic with presentation. So the way that I'm going to try to do that is by putting the logic in the first half of the function, and then, or actually it will probably be more than half, but at the beginning of the function, let's say. and then at the very end, there's going to be a return statement that generates the presentation, uh, quite likely using variables that are generated from the logic from the top of the function. So this is what I'm going to do to keep things separate, and I'm not going to insert any complicated JavaScript logic in the template itself to keep things, more or less separated. So okay, so this is a plain variable. Another thing that we can do is we can do conditionals. So let's say that this application that we want this application to work with logged in users and with non with anonymous users, or users that are not logged in. So username, let's say that we can say that it is null when there's no user logged in. So if we change this to null, let's do it like that. Now, of course, this doesn't render. So we want to do a conditional here and do something else when there's no user. So one way that you can do that is with the question mark colon conditional in JavaScript. So you can say if the username is defined, then we do that. And then with the colon we do the else. We could be hello stranger, let's say, like that. So now this goes into the else. If I revert back to the username, then I get the one that uses it. So this is the one to use if you have an if then else situation. In other cases, you may have only an if but not an else, and in that case, we can say, can we do here? Let's say we want to add a logout link, which only makes sense when there's a user. So we can say username double ampersand, and then here we can say, and this is really not a link, but you probably get the idea. So now if we go back to not having a user, then this this paragraph does not render at all. It's completely omitted. So we have the two types of conditionals. I believe the last important thing I need to tell you about is loops. So you may have a list of things to render, and in backend languages, in backend frameworks, usually have a way to do a for loop within a template, and React also has the same thing. It's a little bit weird, but nevertheless, we do have this. So let's create. Let's say we want to do a to-do list. So we have a list of. Say we have buy groceries, and what else can we do? And okay, so 2 items. The most basic thing that you can do to render a list is to just put the list in, as if it was a normal variable, and that works, but it renders all the elements back to back, as you can see. So what we would like to do instead is to have, let's say we want to have an order list, a UL element with list elements inside for each item. So we are not going to do this. We're going to create the an order list, and here what we can do is we can use the map function or method from arrays in JavaScript. So we can say todos.map, and here we are going to get a so we need to pass a function, and the function will run once per element, and the element will be given to the function as the argument. So here we can say to do, and now we can render it in this case as a list. So, oops, like that. What am I missing here? Um, oh, yeah, closing. There you go. So okay, let's fix. So this is looking good, but because this template centers everything, the list looks weird. So let's use the opportunity to show you the styles. So you can see up here the component imports a CSS file. This is also one of those things that you look at it and you say, how come you're importing a CSS file into a JavaScript file? And once again, this is all handled by the scripting. This is really an extended or an enhanced JavaScript that you're using, so it really knows what it's doing and it'll do the right thing. But we can go to the styles.css file and let's remove the center. So everything is now going to go to the left, and it's going to look a little better. So so there we go. This map method that I've used here, if you come from a Python background, you can think of it as a list comprehension. It's actually quite like it, and even the map function from Python. So both are kind of the same idea. So anyway, I think this is it for rendering, and I hope you found this useful. I'm going to put a link to this project on Code Sandbox if you want to play with it and make some changes, and yeah, then I'll do another one in a little bit, and we will keep going over the core features of React. Thank you so much. Bye bye.